happened after that here on the program with Renee and Willow and Statlander and Stokely Hathaway and Monet comes in and they do some scripted business skit, whatever in the back. It looked like a reading for a scene in a play that they were just reading through, not like the actual performance.
It doesn't feel like it.
And they think they're dramatic actresses. And Stokely's trying to be funny. And poor Statlander, the only one, including Mercedes Monet, I know she's over now, but as a professional wrestler, I think Chris Statlander has a lot more goddamn potential than Mercedes Monet. Whether she'll ever get to realize it or not, being stuck here is another fucking issue. But anyway, would you like to move on to the next match, Brian? Because I have some questions. Yes. Okay. Hook versus Jericho. They were partners last week. And now apparently they're having a match because the explanation was Jericho wanted to see what Hook's made out of. Yes. And then they have a match, which we'll talk about exactly what happened here in a second. But the point is, then Hook wins. And then Jericho comes out after the match and says, I've got a proposition on a Hook, and I'm going to make it to him next week. So, the obvious question is, and I know what your obvious answer is, has Chris Jericho hooked himself up to the Hook wagon to try now to leech some of the adrenochrome from the young talent and be in with the cool kids and do something meaningful that is under the guise of getting Hook over, but is in the end probably going to make Jericho look better than most everybody else involved.
What?
Well, nothing he's been trying to do has worked for him lately. I mean, there's a reason he's in this. There's a reason he's Lionheart Chris Jericho right now, getting no reaction.
Boy, that no Judas changes
everything. Everything. And what was he trying to prove? Getting thrown on his head a bunch of times.
We'll see.
Because I mean, it's Brock Lesnar. When was the last time you saw someone just get suplexed nonstop in a match like this?
Well, and that's the thing is that I see the story he's trying to tell, and I see the way he sold it. Hook hits me with one of those suplexes out of nowhere right at the start of the match, and I land on my head, and I sell my head for the rest of the match. And the more he drops me, the more the problem is, and people believe the head injuries, right, to the blah, blah, blah. And so that's the kind of match they did. Every time Jericho would fight back, Hook would German suplex him or some kind of suplex him and drop him back on his head, and he'd still make a comeback. And then, finally, Hook gets the choke on Jericho and holds it for a while, and Jericho breaks it and goes for the lion tamer, but Hook's small packages him 1, 2, 3. So there was, I see how he sold it, but then also see how they weren't smart enough to figure out what he did afterwards. If he had suplexed him on his head and Jericho had his bell rung and the doctor came in to check him, or the referee checked over him like they did, and then he gets up woozy-legged like he did, and then Hook had suplexed him a few more times, and Jericho had mounted a flurry, but gone to the top rope and got dizzy and lost his balance, and Hook grabbed him off of there, and his suplex off the top, boom, and beat him in about 2.5 minutes. A fucking point would have been made, right? Or if they'd have done what they did and gone 10 or 12 minutes or however it was, I didn't even time this thing, and Jericho had made numerous comebacks, but in the end, Hook had goddamn either fucking suplexed him on his head again and he'd been knocked out, or caught him with the fucking choke and choked him out. That would have accomplished something.
I think we did it.
But as it was, Hook suplexed him on his head.
Don't sound so disappointed.
How many, a dozen times through the course of the match that he's selling and blah, 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 and he still makes comebacks and then still gets his fucking lion tamer, which Hook gets out of, and then goes for his goddamn choke, and Jericho breaks that and goes back for the lion tamer, and Hook wins with a small package. So the point is, Hook won with a fluke after all of that. If you're going to make the statement, but he won with a fucking fluke.